This segment of the Next Gen Patriots podcast is sponsored in support of the West Virginia Tobacco Quit Line. If you or someone you love is ready to quit tobacco, you're just one phone call away. Trained coaches are available to provide guidance, resources, and support every step of the way. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW for free coaching, helpful resources, and encouragement to help you break free from tobacco. That's 1-800-QUIT-NOW to take the first step towards a healthier future. Chief Wilson, welcome to the Next Gen Patriots podcast. It's an honor to have you as part of this special series honoring 250 years of America. And it's a pleasure to showcase everyday patriots like you that make up this great country that we live in every day.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. It means a lot to us. And on behalf of the department, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So kind of everybody kind of gets to know you a little bit more. What's some of your interests, hobbies, things you like to do outside of your service?
Well, my family's, we're a big outdoor family. So we love fishing, hiking, camping, just taking walks, just being outside pretty much. Do that as a family. I myself, I have my ham radio operator's license, my son and I both, so we kind of dabble in that a little bit. Do some squirrel hunting on the side, but yeah, just enjoy being outdoors.
Yeah. Always a must. So everybody has an introduction, and so we normally start with a career. So kind of give us a career breakdown starting out of high school. You know, what did you start doing right outside of high school? Did you go to college? How did it all start for you?
Yeah, so I graduated back in '91, quite a while ago. Right out of high school, excuse me. I worked with some friends of mine here in town, Wanger's Produce. They have a produce farm just outside of West Liberty, so I worked with them for a couple summers, throwing pumpkins and watermelons, picking a lot of peppers and squash, a lot of that. So I had a lot of fun doing that with them. And then I got my CDL and went and I drove an 18-wheeler for 11 years. So I did that. Was all I ever wanted to do for whatever reason. Don't know why, what put that idea in my head, but that's what I've always wanted to do as a kid. So as soon as I turned 21, I got my CDL, got a job driving a truck, and like I said, did that for 11 years. In the meantime, I met my wife, Stacy, and so we got married, and then, of course, kids started to come along. That changed priorities pretty quick. So my son was 6 months old. We realized that me being out on the road wasn't very conducive to home life and raising a family. I was gone a lot. So we decided to look at something a little bit different. So my brother-in-law, who works here, he's actually the one that hooked us up. My wife and I, he's the one that got us introduced, got us together. I knew that he worked here, and I was familiar with the firefighter schedule. So I thought, well, maybe I could do that, get out of the truck and do that. So I took the test and got hired, and in 2006, this is where I've been since. So
Wow, that's awesome. And you've kind of worked your way up, so how did that all come about now that you're finally chief?
Yeah, it was definitely not one of my aspirations for sure. I mean, I was perfectly happy being a line firefighter. Went through a spell where I was looking at a different department to go to, a neighboring department. So I got on there part-time and was looking to get on full-time there. And then in the meantime, the fire prevention or captain's position came up. That was a 40-hour position. So I thought, man, that would be nice. I could get off of the 24/48s. I could get onto a regular schedule. My Saturdays could be spent with the wife and family. So I applied for that and got selected for that job. So come out of operations off of the 24/48 into a 40-hour work week. So that allowed me to stay here and not move on to the other department. That was in January of 21 when I got promoted to captain and into the prevention office. Did that for 3 years. And then our former fire chief, Andy Fissel, was retiring. So we needed a replacement for him. There was only 2 of us here that was even eligible to test, and that was me and my brother-in-law. So neither one of us really wanted the job, but we knew that someone had to take it so that the department could move forward. And being a statutory government, we could only hire or promote from within. So again, we were the only 2 that were eligible, So it was pretty much up to us
Yeah.
to take the test, and so we did. He really didn't want it, but he took the test because it had to be competitive.
Yeah.
So yeah, we both tested, and then here I am. Now I'm sitting in the chief spot.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
I've been here for 2 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, and you've already been able to make some notable changes just in the community, just as we've been able to talk earlier, which I find very fascinating and is very awesome. And I can't wait to see what you continue to do. But as we kind of come into these segments, we have a few segments that we kind of break our episode into here. And so I kind of want to start a little bit about the life as a firefighter and EMT a little bit. But I want to talk briefly about the process of not only in Ohio, but the process of becoming a firefighter on this department.
So with us specifically, the process, it's a competitive process, 3 steps. So you have a written portion, a written exam that you have to take. Once you pass that, then there's also a physical agility portion that you have to pass. So once you successfully pass the written and the physical agility, we use a website-based company that all that goes through, the testing process. When the candidates successfully pass those 2 portions, then their results get forwarded to us. They can click if they want Bellefontaine to be part of their application. So basically, they don't have to come here to fill out a paper application.
Right,
They do it on this online website. They're filling out one application, taking one test, and then that gets distributed to whatever departments they want to apply for. Once I get those results, then I can say, okay, he passes written, he passes physical, he or she. Then that makes them eligible to sit through our interview process. So when we do have an interview, those are done on a needed basis. So if we have vacancies to fill, then we'll try to schedule some interviews. Then I go to that database and look and see who's eligible. I contact those folks. Hey, are you still interested in working for us? Some are, some aren't. If they are, we go ahead and we schedule an interview. The interviews are scored as well. So if they're hireable, based off their interview score, based off the written exam score, then those scores kind of place them in an eligibility list. It determines where they're at in the eligibility list. That eligibility list, once it's established by our Civil Service Commission, it's good for 2 years.
Okay.
So then that eligibility list is what we pull from when we have a vacancy. So that's kind of how that works. Sometimes, the one at the top of the list, if I go to call that guy, depending on how long it has been since interviews, I may give him a call and say, hey, we have a vacancy open. Are you still interested? Well, maybe it was 3 months ago since he interviewed. Hopefully he hasn't taken a job in the meantime, because a lot of guys will, apply to 4 or 5 different departments. So yeah, if they're interested, we give them a conditional offer, and then there's a lot more that goes through before we make that official.
Okay, so do they have to go to like an academy or anything once they get
It depends on what they already have as far as certifications go. So we're one of the few, I guess, that we don't require certifications to be hired on. We will send you to school if you don't have anything. So some already have like a level 2 firefighter. Some may be a level 2 firefighter and a paramedic. Some candidates might be a level 1 firefighter and only have an EMT basic. So we'll have to send them to school to bring them up to the level 2 firefighter and up to a paramedic certification for EMS. But again, we have hired those without certifications. If that's the case, we will send you to school to get those certifications. Those certifications do help. Again, they're not required, but they do help in that process of getting hired in, because the more marketable you are, the more qualified, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. Explain the station a little bit, how you guys work. You were talking a little bit earlier about how you have a 5-man shift. Explain how that works and the rotation and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have right now, we have 3 shifts, A, B, and C. Each shift works 24 hours on, 48 hours off. We have, I'd love to get to 8 guys per shift. Right now we have 8 on 2 shifts and 7 on the other shift. So we're still working to get that filled. But yeah, so they, like I said, they work 24 hours on, 48 hours off. Our normal work day is from like 7 to 4. Shift changes at 7 a.m. So from 7 to 4, that's like our quote unquote business hours. So it's during that time, the guys, we have our morning staff meeting where information gets passed along from the off-going shift to the ongoing shift. We'll sit around, have a cup of coffee and chit chat for a little bit. Then we start truck checks. So each vehicle, the guys are assigned to a truck. They get their daily checks to make sure they're, in good working order, make sure the equipment's in place. And then we also have like a chore for the day. So, Monday would be, a weekly check. So these trucks get a daily check and a weekly check.
Okay.
So the daily check is just, is equipment there? Yes or no? You're checking boxes, checking the mileage, just making sure everything is ready to go. The weekly check on Monday is a more in-depth. We're checking the oil levels, fluid levels, air pressure in the tires. All the exhaust fans get ran, the tools get ran, the saws get ran, the pumps get ran, exercised. So that's more of an in-depth check.
Okay.
Tuesday's kitchen day, so the fridge is cleaned out, kitchen is clean top to bottom, all the floors are mopped, all that good stuff. So there's a chore for the day.
Yeah.
Along with the daily activities. And then once that stuff's done, then, there's training to be done. In the meantime, they're doing 911 calls. So sometimes they're able to get the chores done, sometimes they're not. It just depends.
Yeah.
Then at, like I said, 4 o'clock is kind of the end of the day. So even though they're here for 24 hours, from 4 o'clock beyond, that's kind of their time to chill and relax as if they were at home, because this basically is their home. Family members can come in, visit in the evenings, have dinner with them, that type of stuff. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of what the day looks like for them.
Yeah, quite packed in that 24 hours. A lot can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we specifically talk about community, what does serving your community mean to you personally?
Well, this is my hometown. I call it my hometown because I was born here, but I grew up in Springfield, but we moved back up here to Bellefontaine right after high school. So this is where I live, this is where I work, this is where I worship. So being able to give back to my neighbors, basically, it's very gratifying. I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but there is something that just gives you this self of purpose or a sense of achievement when you respond to someone that you were just at their house a week ago, or someone that you see every Sunday at church, knowing that that you're making a difference in their lives, just not a stranger, but especially if that person that sees you and they know who you are, their demeanor changes real quick. Even though they're having a bad day, it's just that familiar face, regardless of what shirt I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Just seeing that familiar face, you can really see it in their eyes. They just breathe a sigh of relief.
And this next question, I kind of want to focus on and change a little bit here. So when people hear, a firefighter or an EMT, what do they usually misunderstand about that position?
I would say it's not what Hollywood says it is. It's not, we don't get those action-packed, fires every day. We're not, not every run is the critical run. So Hollywood does romanticize the fire service quite a bit. It is pretty close. But I would say probably the misconception would be just that, we're normal people.
Yeah.
We're just like anybody else. We come here, this is our career. We're going to make the best of it. We still have wife and kids at home, and husbands, some of us. We want to go home too. We want to live a regular life. I guess that's all I can think of.
Yeah, no. That's a good answer. I think that's how it gets misconstrued. There's a human behind all that.
Yeah. And I will add that there is a lot. When I said that Hollywood likes to romanticize, not discounting what we do here, but
right.
I mean, it's like I said, it's not every call is that rip roaring fire, or that critical life-saving rescue on the ambulance. There's a lot of somebody just fell down, but they can't get up. They're not injured. They just don't have enough strength to get up on their own. Or maybe they're an elderly couple, and the husband just doesn't have enough strength to get the wife up. So, it might be 2 o'clock in the morning. We get dispatched to that. So we go and pick them up off the floor, put them back in bed, and assess them, make sure there's no injuries. They sign a refusal. We come right back to the station. So there's some of that. Just the other day, one of our guys, we got called for a little kitten that was trapped in the engine compartment of a car. you know, and they weren't able to get it out. So we sent a guy down, and I'm not really sure how he got it out, whether he beat on the fenders or what, I don't know. But little kitten was brought back. We held it for a while until it found a home. So
yeah, you just never know. But yeah, there's definitely a human behind all that. What keeps someone passionate about this work day after day?
just knowing that you do make a difference in someone's lives. I mean, it might be just something as small as picking, someone up off the floor and putting them back in bed. Or you might just get a phone call and someone just, hey, my smoke alarm's going off. But I can hear it in the background. I'm like, it's chirping every 60 seconds. Go ahead and pull it down for me while I got you on the phone. Look at the back of it. What's the date on it? Come to find out it's, 17 years old. Hey, that's your low battery chirp, so they pop a battery in and everything's fine. Mm-hmm. Just not really seeking the gratification, but just knowing that you are making a difference in somebody's life, no matter how big or how small that call may be. When you see that, we kind of come back to the station, and just, you may talk a little bit about it, what went right, what went wrong. But the things that do go right, that's just like, okay, let's chalk one up for the good guys, and that just kind of helps you move on to the next one. Yeah. No matter how bad the one was just prior to, because they're not all good. You can't save everybody. But the one good that comes after the bad will help you go for the next one. Yeah, yeah.
What does being a firefighter or EMT say about the values that makes communities in America really strong?
Man. How do I answer that? Run that by me one more time.
When you think, I'll rephrase it. So what does being a firefighter, or when you are one, or an EMT, say about the values that makes a community and really America?
I guess I would just say if I understand what you're asking, just your local people that are you want to make a difference in your community. You want to do good. There's so much cruelty and evil in the world. So I think, just somebody who wants to be in this line of work, it does show that, that there are a lot of people that still do have some values. They do care about life. They do care about others. They're willing to put others above themselves. Mm-hmm. Whether it's going into a dangerous situation where that, okay, I may not come out of this. I never met this person before, but this is what I signed up for. This is what I want to do. And, so yeah, it definitely takes a certain person, I guess, someone that's called to do this job, because there's a lot of sights, smells, sounds, stuff you will never forget, stuff that you really don't want to be subjected to, but you are. But I guess, for me personally, God just gives me the capability or the capacity rather, to be able to withstand that. And, so I feel that this is where he put me to serve in that capacity. So I think the people that are willing to do that and put themselves in that position, it just kind of shows the values that they have. Yeah,
and those values are really, honestly, is the backbone to all our communities. As you were talking about, putting yourself really ahead of others. Every single day, that one call could be the one you don't come back.
Right.
It's just like law enforcement. And I think that's something as communities we kind of forget. You guys are just as much endangered as them, But kind of moving on here to some current challenges in the service. We talk, and a lot is talked about mental health. And so mental health has become obviously an increasingly important topic in the emergency services. How do you believe the fire and EMS service is addressing this issue?
There's been a lot of steps taken. There's a lot of courses now. There's a lot of programs for mental health. But it's in the grand scheme of things, those programs are fairly young. Mental health is within the last few years, I would say, has really kind of gained a lot of attention, I guess, from officials or what have you. But yeah, there are some programs out there, and we have a critical incident stress management team that, like, if the crew's are out on a bad run, then the folks who were there on scene are pretty much for the most part mandated to sit through these sessions. And it's a session of peers. There's group, because I can go talk to a psychologist about something every day,
right.
but he doesn't do what I do.
Right.
So I'm laying on his couch telling him, well, how does that make you feel? Well, he's not going to be able to help me because he doesn't understand what I saw, what I'm going through. But this group of our peers, this critical incident management team, they're made up of other firefighters, clergy who serve as chaplains on fire departments, law enforcement officers, clinicians, so those are folks that will come in and talk with us that have been where these guys are. So, they do understand where we're coming from. So we utilize those programs when necessary. And again, we have employee assistant programs. If we need to, we can certainly put those into use as well.
Okay. Wow. That's actually really interesting. You said this has only been, what, a couple of years now that they've implemented this?
Well, so the critical incident stress team, those have been around for a while.
Okay.
But as far as, like, within the last, I guess, few years, if I'm not mistaken, that's just where, like, firefighter and law enforcement suicide has really jumped. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of like turning a spotlight on this, they really didn't, really didn't think it was like occupational cause, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But there's more and more programs coming out now. You see, and a lot of the newsletters and stuff that we get, that's a lot of that is coming in, that they're finding out a lot more, trying to prevent the divorce rates. That's also very high in this line of work. But trying to prevent divorce rates, firefighter suicide has really gained a lot of traction here in the last few years.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. But yeah, as time goes on, those things will get better. But yeah, I really like the peer critical group. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
How has technology changed emergency response over the last decade? And what do you think AI will change in this service?
Well, AI, that's, yeah. We're actually, technology has been great. To be honest with you, we use it in a lot of training. So like right now we have, the mobile data terminal, or MDT, isn't very new. We don't have those yet, but we're using iPads for that sort of a thing. And basically we have like an alert system or an app, so that when we're dispatched, that app tones off, and we can look at everything that's going on, notes that the dispatcher can enter in, so it could be certain things that maybe they don't want to say over the radio because people in scanner land are kind of hearing it. It could be some sensitive subject matter, so they'll just type in some notes, and then we can look at that and get more information on what we're going on. Those programs also have, like it'll use Google Maps where we can pop up where the location of the incident is, and we have, I'm gonna keep hitting this thing.
Oh, you're good.
We have like our hydrant locations entered into that, so we can pull up like a Google Map view of a house or a strip mall. We can see where the hydrants are at. So while we're en route, we can say, okay, there's a hydrant here, hydrant there. A lot of it we kind of know where they're at anyway.
Right.
We can use it for pre-planning. We have some programs where it'll populate the square footage of the building, do some calculations, and it will tell you based on the square footage, this is what your fire flow needs to be. So we kind of have an idea how many gallons per minute we need to start flowing once we arrive on scene. So we've used it for that. AI, there's a program that one of our guys used not too long ago. I didn't even know we had it until I saw him using it. But they went around, they drove around our local area, and they took pictures of our buildings here in town, some of our own houses, our own churches, schools, some of our commercial buildings, and they was able to put that into this training program, and this program would put like fire coming out of the windows, smoke, and then you could type in what conditions do you want. You want light smoke? You want heavy smoke? Do you want a fully involved fire on this side of the house, or do you just want fire coming out of this window, smoke coming out of that window? And then it wasn't just like a drawing, it was like actual like AI flames, that looked pretty realistic. And then you use that, and then they, the guy doing the class can say, okay, this is what you roll up on. Tell me what you would do. So then that gets the guy who is, the officer in the truck. He can look at that and say, okay, I've got, and of course, we're simulating radio traffic, saying, I'm on scene of a two-story residential structure. I've got heavy smoke showing out of the A side, Division 1 window, and fire coming out of the B side, whatever window. So we can use those without going and burning up a house. And it actually gives, the guy looking at it to make a decision based on what he's seeing, instead of someone saying, reading paper, okay, you arrive at this house, you see heavy smoke coming from the top story window. Then you're trying to picture in your head, okay, what's the smoke going to look like? Maybe heavy smoke. Is it brown smoke? Is it white? Is it dark black? So you can change these programs to come up with certain scenarios to determine how you're going to respond to it, and then what you're going to have your guys do. So
wow, that's awesome. It makes it realistic too. I mean,
exactly,
especially if you're using buildings in your area, you're familiar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Familiar and so yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Technology is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And not to ramble on here, but on the medical side of things, we have there's mannequins out there, that will actually, they're hooked up to a computer, and the assessor can type in a symptom. He can type in, I want this mannequin to be in AFib. So we can look at the monitor, and you're assessing just like a real person. They can make it breathe, they can make it sweat, they can make him cough, they can make him dry heave, they can make him cry, they can make him, if you touch here, they can make a person scream. I mean, it's amazing the stuff they come up with.
Wow, man, that's amazing. And I mean, that just simulates more strategic planning, especially on the fire side, but really both, when you're in the actual situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So many departments across the country, as we've already talked already, are facing, recruitment challenges. How do you see that changing over the next 5 years, and what is your department doing to ensure higher recruitment rates?
Oh man, yeah, it's I don't know when I hired in back in 2006. I remember, we took the written test here. It was an actual written test up in council chambers, and there was probably 25 or 30 of us, fighting for 3 or 4 spots. Now you've got 30 spots and 3 or 4 guys, applying. It seems like, but one of the things that we're doing, I mean, we're using that website. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not, but the website that we use, it's a nationally known thing. So we're out there. So anyone that's looking for a firefighter job, they can just type in Bellefontaine, Ohio, or they can type in a radius, and then we'll pop up. So we're trying to use. We're kind of starting a relationship with our local career center here in town. They're getting a fire and EMS program started up, so hopefully we can kind of use that to our advantage, get some local help. Just trying to use our own social media, trying to put out as much good stuff as we can, letting the community see us training, letting them, see the kind of runs that we go on sometimes, and trying to figure that out so that people can just kind of see what the department's doing and maybe generate some interest there. When I got into it, I really never thought I would be a firefighter, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, I've always wanted to drive a truck. Fighting fires was never even across the back of my mind. But a really good friend of mine volunteered for one of our neighboring departments. He was one of the ones that worked the produce with me, and I would be with him, when he would get the call, and I thought, man, this is kind of cool. But I was driving at the time, and I still loved it, so never really thought. But after 9/11, I hate to say that I'm kind of one of the ones where 9/11 kind of inspired me, because I don't really think that was the case. But just firefighters got a lot of exposure during that time when it was going in and out of the towers. And I know that's when, the statistics spiked, for guys wanting to be firefighters. So I guess maybe I kind of came in right at that time, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But just watching that friend of mine, kind of help people out too, kind of put me in the mindset of, this would be kind of cool. Yeah. So I started volunteering with him at that same department for 2 or 3 years before I got hired in here. Okay. So I did have some familiarity once, we decided that, driving a truck probably wasn't going to be very good. And I thought, well, okay, I've got some experience here. Maybe I can do this. I feel like I'm going to ramble on, so I'm going to give it back to you.
No, you're good. No, you're good. No, yeah. No, I think, nowadays with recruitment, especially with the younger generation, your biggest stance is going to be online, right? And social media, because that's where Gen Z that's where they're at. And I think you're starting a nice approach, as I've seen your guys' Facebook page. You got a nice approach to it. It can be successful. What are some of the biggest public safety challenges facing communities today?
Well, this is going to sound biased, but I would certainly say, just the staffing levels of their local fire department. I mean, our city admin has gone, leaps and bounds trying to get us to where we need to be. So I certainly do not want this to come off the wrong way, but we're still low. I mean, we're still understaffed. I found some ledgers, from the 1960s, where they had 5 guys on duty, and they were probably doing, I don't know, 300-400 runs a year. Back in the 60s. That was when they were fire only. EMS, nobody even knew what EMS was back then. Mm-hmm. But today, 2026, doing 3,000 runs a year, doing fire and EMS, we still have, there's 5 guys on duty today.
Yeah.
Here. So, but we understand, funding, stuff like that. And again, the administration has been over backwards, and has, we've gotten our minimum raised from 4 when I hired into 5. But we understand things take time, things take money. So, we're not really screaming there, but it's just such a slow process, and the recruitment and all across the nation, just trying to get anybody to get into the fire service. I think it's like 70 or 80% of the fire departments in the U.S. are volunteer departments. So they're the ones that are really struggling. So, with us, this is our job,
Right.
We're here 24/7, 365. You call 911, there's always going to be somebody here. Your volunteer departments, those folks are working their day job. They've got their family. They've got their other commitments they got to do. But they volunteer that when a call comes in, they respond from home to the firehouse, get in the truck or the ambulance, and then respond to the emergency. But now with the training requirements, that are required of these guys, they're having a hard time balancing home life and the training requirements to be volunteers. So, they're really struggling.
Yeah.
And now people don't, it's not like it was back in the day when people used to work where they lived. Mm-hmm. There would be a time where, maybe 4 or 5 guys worked at the same factory or whatever, and a call would come in. They would all, shut the line down. They would all leave, go handle the emergency, then all come back to work. That's not the case now. People are driving 30, 40, 50 miles to work. They don't work where they live.
Yeah.
So, it's very tough, and the community suffers for it, because with those volunteer departments, if it's a life-saving call, somebody, let's say we got CPR in progress, someone's not breathing, they call that squad. If somebody is in town, it may take 10 to 15 minutes to get a truck to their door because, like I said, they got to respond from the house to the firehouse, then to the emergency. A lot of departments now have on call or people that are on part-time that are there during the day, mm-hmm. But most are still strictly volunteer. If there's nobody available for that call, like one of our neighboring departments, we're the only paid department here in Logan County, so we're surrounded by volunteer. If one of those departments get that call that I'm talking about, but they don't get a crew together, so now we're going to help them.
Yeah.
By the time we get there, they're 20, 25 minutes into that person not breathing. Mm-hmm. So, the community really suffers in that aspect.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the fix is. A lot of people have talked about, coming up with a county-wide EMS department where you have stations across the county strategically placed and they're fully staffed. That would certainly cut down on response times. But for whatever reason, those ideas have, they come up and then they fall. And then a year or two later, they come up and then they fall. But I would say that was probably one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah.
Is just staffing and just retention.
Yeah. So as we kind of move into this last segment, and more focused on the 250th anniversary that's coming up, As we celebrate America's 250th anniversary, what does this historic milestone mean to you?
So I always talk about how I would like to sit and be able to just to talk to the people that's been around for, these major milestones, when the car first came out, America's first, 100th birthday or whatever. So just being around to where, being alive for something like that is pretty cool. I'm one of the most patriotic people around. I like to think so anyway. So I have a lot of pride for my country. I have a lot of pride for the military, for those that are putting their lives on the line so that we can have the freedoms that we enjoy. So just being able to be alive to say, yeah, I was there, is, I don't know, I can't explain it, but it does. It means a lot.
Yeah. How do first responders help reflect the values America was built on?
I would say just showing the grit, determination, is giving all-out effort, just being that kind of person that having those values to push forward no matter what the consequences are. Yeah. I guess that's all I can think of.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. Yeah, there's a lot of values that come from first responders, like we just talked about in the community. But really, is the backbone to America, that we see every day. What gives you hope, and where do you see the future of first responders?
Well, what gives me hope is right now the amount of young folks that we do have. Even though recruitment is low, the amount of 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, that gives me some hope that, the younger generation isn't as bad as what we think. Of course, my parents, thought that too. Oh, the younger generation has gone to pot. Now I'm starting to act, being that where I'm looking at kids that are, 30 years younger than me, and I'm thinking, man, this generation, what in the world? But just the amount of phone calls that I get from high schoolers, and emails that are saying, hey, I'm looking at a job in the fire service. I'm wanting to get into this. Can I come in and do some ride time? Do you have some kind of a cadet program or an internship? I'm surprised at how many of those emails and phone calls I actually get.
Yeah.
Especially in today's day and age where a lot of the young folks want to be YouTubers or, they want to make their money doing that.
Yeah.
There are quite a few that do want to actually go into the workforce. So just seeing the number of those folks that are that age group that are asking and inquiring about a job like this, that does give me some hope that, hey, okay, maybe the youth isn't as bad as I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good take on it. Yeah, and I guess as time goes on, you'll see more programs and stuff like that with the younger generation, because I think that's what's ultimately going to get the recruitment levels where they should be. But this last question as we wrap it up here, and I ask this question in every interview because everybody has a different response but has a really good point of view of it. How would you define success in your own words?
Success in my own words, I would say achieving what I've put in my mind that I want to do and meeting those goals. Obviously, I mean, I know that's a cliche definition, but just, I guess, knowing that what I've done made a difference, and if I can look back and be happy with what I've done and know that I've done what I've set out to do, then in my mind that would be success.
Yeah, with no regret. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Well,
just knowing that I didn't fall short somewhere.
Yeah, I know that's one thing I always keep in the back of my mind. When you have that goal, that's my typical drive. But once again, thank you so much for joining us on this special episode.
Absolutely.
And from Next Gen Patriots, thank you for your service and sacrifice to your community and to all those on the front lines of America that are serving our communities every day. So until next time, we will see you guys in the next episode.